Hey, well, Morgan World Entertainment, and unfortunately, the festive season is over. Yes, all the Christmas decorations are down and back up in the attics and down in the basements and out in the garages, everywhere, waiting until the end of November before we pull them all back out again. Doesn't stop the fact that Christmas movies have to be made and do get made and will be made and are currently getting made, such as The Man with the Bag with Arnold Schwarzenegger and Alan Richardson, that will be coming on Prime, probably at the end of this year, I would assume. But a movie that came out a little while ago, I'm pretty sure it came out at the end of 2023, was none other than a very different take on the Christmas genre, which was Violent Night. The movie starring David Harbour, where he played Santa Claus, who was pretty much a raging alcoholic, tattooed up to the eyeballs, and just went on a killing spree when he got to a house that had a kidnapping happen. Well, talks are now happening about Violent Night 2, but more so, will Mrs. Claus be joining? And if she is, who exactly is going to be playing her? Now, we'd all jump on the bandwagon and go, oh, it'll probably be a diverse casting, no doubt about that. Well, judging by what they're saying here, there is doubts about that. There's a particular name that they seem to be interested in having. So let's have a look at this article about this. By the way, if you haven't seen Violent Night, I recommend checking it out. It's actually quite funny. It's one of those, like, it's dumb as shit, but it's funny as hell as well. It's just one of those, especially if you're having a couple of beers with some friends or something. Throw it on, sit down, you just will have a laugh. But let's look at this. So it says, Pat Casey and Josh Miller, the writers of the merry and jolly action thriller Violent Night, keep teasing us with details about the upcoming sequel to the film starring David Harbour as the Santa Claus we wish we could party all night long with. We know part 2 is coming, but the writers addressed the possibility of Santa having his other half present in whatever trouble he gets in, and it seems Harbour could be having a sort of reunion with someone from the fantasy horror show that shot him into stardom, Stranger Things. Casey and Miller spoke to Comic Book about their most recent gig writing the box office hit Sonic the Hedgehog 3, and as exciting as their future looks in the video game adaptation franchise, Casey and Miller are also committed to their other future projects. One of them is, of course, the confirmed-ish sequel to Violent Night. Now, that's a weird statement they put in there, that it's confirmed and then says ish. So it's like, is it or isn't it? Weird. Especially when they say we know it's coming, but whatever. This continues anyway, saying, while they addressed a few details about Violent Night 2, they used the opportunity to talk about the possibility of Santa getting some love from Mrs. Claus. Charlize Theron was mentioned as a potential candidate because of her close relationship with 87 North Productions, the independent film production company in charge of backing Violent Night. However, Casey and Miller provided a very practical answer when asked if Winona Ryder, Harbour's co-star in Stranger Things, was also in consideration for the role. And this is what they said about that. I hadn't even thought about Winona. I mean, yeah, we can't comment on casting, and probably shouldn't even comment on whether she is or isn't in the movie at all. So, that's what they said. So it says, oh, this is actually even longer than I thought it was. The 2022 Christmas film follows Santa Claus as he's drunk driving while delivering presents. When he arrives at a huge mansion, he notices there's a kidnapping taking place. Santa decides to provide a different kind of Christmas celebration to everyone inside. The film currently sits at a 74% on Rotten Tomatoes, and pretty quickly it became a cult favourite among fans of the Christmas horror genre. So, I wouldn't call it a horror, there's nothing horror about it. But yeah, I didn't think it was that long. It can't possibly be 2022. There's no way that movie came out in 2022, is there? I would have sworn it was 2023 that it came out. Either way, it came out. It was funny. It did actually surprisingly well, if I remember correctly, at the box office as well. And again, if you haven't seen it, check it out. It is quite funny. You know, he's like, you'd think it's a Santa down on his luck, and he pretty much is. And of course, when you hear that, you think, oh, bad Santa. With the exception that he's actually Santa Claus. And he's he's actually the real Santa Claus that comes from the myth of Vikings. So he even has like a Milner and everything like that. It's ridiculous. It's batshit crazy, but it's funny and it's enjoyable as well. So again, I highly recommend it. As for Violent Night 2, until this article came out, I didn't even know that they were actually planning a Violent Night 2. Glad they are. Not quite sure what direction you would go in. You couldn't really use the same family and stuff again, and to be honest, it would be a bit weird if they did. But the idea of Mrs. Claus being there and the likes of Winona Ryder possibly being Mrs. Claus, I can see that working quite well, because we know Harbour and her have good chemistry thanks to Stranger Things. So it looks like they're planning on possibly bringing in Mrs. Claus, to whether or not she's just as batshit crazy as he is, or whether she'll be kind of the anchor to try and wheel him back in, maybe. Don't know. Only time will tell. But we'll wait and see what more news comes out about this. And again, I think it's funny that they say it's confirmed, it's coming, we know this, and then go confirmed-ish. It's like, well, it either is confirmed or it isn't. It's different if they're talking about it, but saying it's not confirmed, because that's not confirmed, or even confirmed-ish. That's they're talking about it. Again, we'll wait and see. So, with that, I shall leave it there for this one. Like, share, subscribe. Cheers, and I'll catch you in the next one.